Tensions in the Red Sea. Houthi militants have been stepping up their attacks against commercial ships in the area. Despite military efforts by the USA and its allies to blunt the Houthis' offensive capabilities, these attacks have grown more sophisticated and are being done with deadlier weapons. Innocent lives have been lost and valuable cargo have been damaged by these attacks. But recent data suggests that two countries have inadvertently benefited from the conflict. And these are the USA itself and the tiny Southeast Asian country of Singapore. How's this possible when we've been told that all would suffer from the Red Sea tensions? Stick around as we take a look at the ongoing conflict in the Red Sea and understand why these attacks have affected some countries differently. The Houthi militants, a group that came into power after the Yemeni revolution of 2011. They now control a large part of Yemen, though have yet to be recognized as the country's official government. They have been carrying out attacks on commercial ships in the Red Sea since late 2023. The Houthis claim that these attacks are retaliations against Israel's offensive in Gaza. And Washington believes that the Houthis are being supplied with weapons from Iran. Thus far, the Houthis have been deploying relatively sophisticated weapons, including anti-ship missiles and unmanned vessels and aerial vehicles. And Western powers have at times had trouble stopping these weapons. These attacks have caused a significant change in sea routes between Asia and Europe. Ships that sail between Europe and Asia via the Red Sea and the Suez Canal will now have to take the longer route via the Cape of Good Hope around Africa. This rerouting has exacted a significant toll on major exporters, especially China. The majority of Chinese exports to Europe pass through the Suez Canal. Although the Houthis have pledged not to attack Chinese ships, China has still suffered substantial economic damage from the crisis due to route diversions. Particularly affected are the country's shipping and manufacturing sectors. And effects of this are showing up in China's latest economic data, which shows that Chinese manufacturers are still struggling to keep up with expectations. These woes faced by China's exporters are shared by countries elsewhere in the region, including countries in Southeast Asia, all of which depend on the Red Sea for their exports to Europe. These disruptions have caused prices to rise significantly across the region, and the ordinary man in the street is feeling the pinch in the form of rising cost of living. But amid these pains, one country that seems to have benefited is the USA. In particular, US crude oil producers are enjoying the effects of the crisis. As the supply of crude oil from the Middle East dwindled due to the Red Sea disruptions, European refiners responded by switching to US crude oil to meet their domestic demand. US crude oil exports reached a record-breaking 4 million barrels a day in 2023. This is the highest ever since the US began exporting crude oil in the 1920s. And US crude oil producers are set to enjoy record profits in the years ahead. Ironically, thanks to the Houthis and their continued harassment of ships in the Red Sea. Another country that is quietly benefiting in the same way is the tiny city-state of Singapore. Singapore does not produce crude oil, but is one of the largest oil refining countries globally. In fact, Singapore is the world's busiest bunkering hub for marine fuels. It supplied 25 million metric tons of marine fuel in the first half of 2023. This is far ahead of second place Rotterdam, which supplied just 5.2 million metric tons. And since the Houthis began attacking ships in the Red Sea towards the end of 2023, suppliers of marine fuel in Singapore are enjoying a surge in demand. This is because some ships that usually make the journey through the Suez Canal are now refueling up for a longer journey around South Africa instead of the Red Sea. And Singapore is the last credible bunkering port along the way that is able to supply ships with all types of fuel, including marine diesel and heavy fuel oil. Evidence for this can be seen in the volume of fuel supplied in early 2024, which has jumped to record levels since the Houthis began attacking ships in the Red Sea. Further evidence of this can also be seen in the prices of Singapore marine fuels, which has risen since late 2023 when the Houthis began attacking. Demand for Singapore marine fuels can be expected to continue, as long as commercial ships feel that they are under threat from the Houthis. And this could be as long as Israel decides to remain in Gaza, which could take a while. In summary, the Red Sea attacks have caused disruptions in global supply chains. And these disruptions have led to higher transportation costs and rising prices of goods. But despite this, several countries have inadvertently become net beneficiaries of the crisis. And these are countries that have benefited from the rerouting of maritime routes. This includes South Africa and other countries along the African coast. Ironically, while the Houthis have claimed that Israel is the ultimate target of their attacks, Israel has emerged relatively unscathed from the Red Sea crisis when compared to others. This is because the major ports of Israel, including Haifa, Ashdod, and Tel Aviv, are all facing the Mediterranean Sea, which is by far Israel's most important sea line. Israel's only port in the Red Sea, the port of Eilat, accounts for only a fraction of its needs. Furthermore, countries that are deeply sympathetic to the Palestinian cause, such as Egypt, have suffered from effects of the Red Sea crisis, with loss of revenue from Suez Canal traffic. As such, herein lies the greatest irony of the Houthi attacks in the Red Sea. Countries that are on the side of Palestine are more affected economically from the Red Sea attacks when compared to neutral countries such as the USA and Singapore. But will they realize this? And will the Red Sea attacks against commercial ships stop? Or will more innocent lives be lost by what they believe is a just confrontation against Israel? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Please do like and subscribe to stay in touch with videos like this.